This video recaps the Stanley Cup Playoff games from April 28, 2025. And while this is late, it is better late than never. Enjoy. Things slowed down on day 10. Only 2 games were on, but the storylines were entertaining. The Battle of Florida's more bad blood, and the Mikko Rantanen Bowl, the team he plays for, finally has a pulse. We're going to get to it with the recaps. Once again, momentum is such a funny word in hockey. Sometimes one goal can lead to another for your opponents. Keys to always be careful and never let your guard down. Both the Panthers and Lightning did get the memo, even for one team having to win. And you know how rivals love to grind each other out? Especially in a playoff series? This is no different. Despite both teams getting a power play that had just 30 shot attempts combined, 13 scoring chances, and 3 high danger chances. That last was all Florida. Home ice advantage is key, and the Panthers are doing that with their forecheck. They kept the puck in the Lightning zone, but the Bolts are doing decently enough, keeping them from generating any chances. For most of the period, both teams fought along the boards. There wasn't a lot of open space for any sorts of momentum. In a series so defensive, would you be shocked to find out that both teams had 6 shots each in the first period? No, both teams continued putting each other on their heels. The most dangerous Florida chance of the period was Dmitry Kulikov setting up Sam Bennett on a 3-on-2 rush, and Tampa's best shift was Anthony Cirelli's line picking off a few breakout passes. Sadly, they couldn't get any shots. Nikita Kucherov did draw a penalty, but the Bolts' power play continued to be as dry as Death Valley. There was some zone time, but they couldn't get enough passes to look threatening enough. The same is said for the Panthers' power play. The Bolts' PK is complete again, with Brandon Hagel reunited with Cirelli, and they shut down the Panthers' man advantage unit. Both teams were forced to the outside, but if both teams battled out in the first, it was almost all Florida's second. They got an early power play, but it didn't restore the goal, though it energized their forecheck. They didn't let the Bolts breathe anywhere on the ice. Andrei Vasilevsky is keeping Tampa in this game, and he wanted to get in defensive shape. They held the Panthers at bay for the first half of the second period. Seth Jones with the point, Gustav Forsing's fake one-timer for a wrister, Alexander Barkov's wrister, Bennett finding opening space. The Big Cat turned them all away. The Panthers don't need a lot of time or a lot of room to get on the board first, though. The goal which they scored on was a rather strange one. They missed a breakout pass for Seth Jones that would have set up a Brad Marchand breakaway, but Marchand was well ahead of Emil Lilleberg to nullify the icing. And Nacho looks to Reen and digs the puck out the near corner to find Marchand, who tapped it to a wide-open Anton Lundell. No time wasted, the bank is open. The building exploded, and there was that fast pace the Panthers wanted to operate. But Aaron Ekblad took it to a meaning that no one dared to do. Yes, Brandon Hagel did commit an interference penalty on Barkov 2 games ago, but that is no justification for Ekblad to deliver an elbow to Hagel's head. The hit left Hagel dazed on the ice and he never finished the game. John McIsaac, the referee that was right in front of the play, doesn't even call a penalty. To say that John Cooper is livid about the non-call of McIsaac close to the play is an understatement. For someone who is normally a calm coach, he had a barrage of angry words for the Zebras. But let's just say that hit energized the Bolts. They need to get more shots at Sergei Bobrovsky, and the tying goal attested to it. Nick Perbix's shot hit Lilleberg at the net, where it came down to the ice and Mitchell Chafee swatted out the rebound. And that goal came minutes after Braden played a chance where he went backhand forehand on Bob. But if Chafee's goal quieted Amaret Bank Arena, Eric Chernak completely silenced them with a shot for a screen for the fastest 2 goals in Lightning playoff history. By far, the biggest puck don't lie moment of the playoffs. The normally calm Cooper pumped his fist following the goals, and the Panthers were stunned. Oh, who cares? Paul Maurice is going to get his boys back on the forecheck and pepper the Bolts with a flurry of shots. None of it made for the Big Cat, and the Bolts hold on to a 2-1 lead heading into the third. The stage is set, but the Panthers are revving up the animosity tenfold. It took just 19 seconds for Niko Mikkola to board an already vulnerable Zemgus Girgensons towards the boards. Girgensons was already down his knees fighting for the loose puck, his back turned towards Mikkola and in a vulnerable position. This was arguably even more of an attempt to blatantly injure someone than the Ekblad hit. And after video review, Mikkola, get out!
You can't do that!
It's a 5-minute power play for the Bolts. They have the chance to expand on their lead, but seconds became minutes with the extra skater. Not until the final seconds of the power play did they finally get any legitimate scoring chances on Big Bob, but in hindsight, the chance never came. The Panthers killed off the penalty. To make matters worse for Tampa, Braden Point was penalized for high sticking. Florida got on the power play, and Aaron Ekblad, who is somehow still here, scooped up the rebound after J.J. Moser blocked Evan Rodriguez's shot set up by Sam Bennett. and put it in the net to tie the game, or so we thought. John Cooper challenges for an offside, and Brad Marchand was offside by a country mile on the entry. He didn't just jump the rush, he went as far as the Georgia border. The goal was washed away, it's back to a 2-1 Tampa lead. That's what the Bolts needed to frustrate the Panthers, as they limited them to just one shot. Tampa was spending a little more time in the Florida zone. But again, this is a highly defensive series, so not much was on the net. In the best chances they've got though, Bob stood his ground and kept them out of several excellent looks by Tampa's top line, with Jake Guentzel trying to tuck in the goal from the goal line after a slapper from Ryan McDonagh. Another one of those chances was from a sneak shot along the boards for a Girgensson screen. Panther fans were wondering if Sergei Bobrovsky would be pulled, but in the midst of those questions, Guentzel tried to clear the puck after Barkov and Carter Verhaeghe were hounding the net. He went with the safe play to bank it off the boards, but Aaron Ekblad read it and kept the puck in. Once he's at the slot, Reinhart fires and Ekblad banks in the rebound. This time will count for him and it's tied. The officials not ejecting Ekblad and the Bolts losing one of their top defensive-minded forwards bit them dearly. A stunned silence for their bench would turn to deflation 11 seconds later. Yes, in the very same game that Tampa scored 2 goals in 11 seconds, Florida will do the exact same thing. Seth Jones just floats a shot that appeared to hit Ryan McDonagh, and then the inside of Vasi's arm, before crossing the goal line. Just like that, the Panthers have control of the game again. While 3:36 was left on the clock, normally it would be too much time for the Bolts to score. But with the way that they're playing, those chances would never come. This game was an unbelievable turn of events, and their role reversal of scoring twice in 11 seconds came like a flashbang. Verhaeghe ended with an empty netter, and the Panthers go up 3-1 in the series. This game was mostly another defensive slugfest, with both teams somehow getting offense out of nowhere. But this was one of the craziest games ever in this heated rivalry. The Panthers were less than 4 minutes away from seeing the series being even up, but their 2 big right shot defensemen came up huge. Even for all the talk about the refs, you have to convert on a 5-minute power play. And as a result, Tampa's on the brink of elimination. But the end result wouldn't come without supplemental discipline. When you include Jesse Puljujärvi's high hit on Mitchell Chafee to end off the Panthers' regular season, both teams have now combined for 3 suspensions and a fine. The NHL Department of Player Safety made up for the official screw-up and handed Ekblad a 2-game suspension for his intentional blow to Hagel's head. He just recently came back for a 20-game suspension for a failed drug test. Ekblad tried to argue that he did not intend to do so, but George Parros was not buying it. Mikkel was handed a $5,000 fine, the maximum for his sport on Girgensson. Honestly, that too should have been a suspension. The fact that he got a fine was one of the worst decisions by the DOPS. Nazem Kadri and Nikita Kucherov got suspended for that exact same hit in the playoffs. What a joke. Heading into this game, every Eastern Conference series had one team leading 3-1, while every Western Conference series was tied at 2 games apiece. But another storyline in this series is how much the Stars' top players have vastly underperformed in this series. No Jason Robertson and Miro Heiskanen will play a large part in that, but that offense of Mikko Rantanen, Wyatt Johnston, Roope Hintz, Matt Duchene, and Michael Granlund have not contributed a lot. When you add Jamie Benn and Mason Marchment to that list, they've combined for 2 goals in the first 4 games of this series. And the Avalanche got a burst of energy with Gabriel Landeskog back in the line. Wait a minute, the Stars just scored? The game just started. Wyatt Johnston gets a dump in from the far corner and scored sharp angle off the side of Mackenzie Blackwood. That's the 5th fastest game-opening goal of playoff history. Stars fans were feeling jubilation across the city, but knowing how the Stars have won their 2 games in tight fashion, a general uneasiness rose knowing how the Avalanche dominated in their wins. There were times in which they've left Jake Ottinger out to dry, and it almost looked that way early. But Dallas needed goal scoring in any way possible. Tyler Seguin came close, but his shot went behind Mackenzie Blackwood and completely missed the net. Seguin and Ben got stopped by Blackwood, and Jonathan Drouin was turned away by the Otter. Late in the first period, Johnston enters the zone and finds a cutting Thomas Harley, and his shot was initially stopped by Blackwood, went up in the air, off the crossbar, off his back, and into the net to make it 2-0. It's the old shell glitch in real life. Going to the second period, immediately, there's a 2-on-1 for Dallas. Roope Hintz locates Mikko Rantanen at the front of the goal, and Rantanen gets his first of the series on his former team to extend the lead to 3-0. Colorado is getting their chances, but the difference is that Dallas is finally finishing theirs, and Ottinger is making timely saves. One of them on Brock Nelson. There was a chance to extend the lead to 4-0 with Sam Steele patiently fighting hits. Blackwood says, No sir, even with a 3-0 lead, no lead is safe, and there's plenty of game left to be decided. With Nathan McKinnon setting up from the far corner, he finds Marty Necas at the slot, and his one-timer gets deflected in by Arturi Lehkonen to pull within 2. Just over 2 minutes later, Devontae speeds down the zone, finds McKinnon, who just came off the bench, fights off former teammate Matt Duchene and makes his way to the slot and beats Otter Blocker's side, and just like that, it's a 1-goal game. What seemed to be the first complete game for the Stars was looking eerily similar to Game 1 of last year's Western Conference semifinal series. You know, when the Avs overcame a 3-0 deficit to win 4-3 in OT, that dread was felt if Evgeny Dadonov couldn't bury a 2-on-1 far side. But Dallas gets a power play with Sam Malinsky elbowing Sam Steele. You simply cannot do that against a team like the Stars. Yes, Rantanen got denied on a one-timer, but you know what he would do? Tick-tack-kaboom! Rantanen, Duchene, Johnston, 2-goal lead restored. And just under 2 minutes later, Tyler Seguin drives around the net, but Logan O'Connor is hounding him, chasing down the puck like a cat chasing a laser pointer. But Seguin sees an open option at the deep right point, Alex Petrovic, who is silently somewhat reviving his career as a depth defenseman for the playoffs, has been solid while playing next to Liam Bichsel. He fires a one-timer from that spot, where Mason Marchment comes in to deflect it and make it 5-2. I'm happy for Petrovic. Before he landed with the Stars organization, the last time he played an NHL game was in 2019 with the Edmonton Oilers. He played just 9 games with them after his time with the Florida Panthers ran out. He bounced around the AHL, from the Providence Bruins to Stockton Heat to the Texas Stars, where he found his chemistry with Bichsel, and the two understand one another. Last season, he played his first NHL games in 5 years. 7 of the 8 came in the playoffs, 6 in the Western Conference Final. But before the third period, Jared Bednar did what Peter DeBoer did in Game 4, replace his starting goaltender. Mackenzie Blackwood was getting shelled, allowing 5 goals on 18 shots. There was a little more justification for this pull. No need to ruin your goalie's confidence any longer, but nonetheless, that was all she wrote, and Rope Hintz sealed the deal with an empty netter. With the 2 goals, that was Wyatt Johnston's third career multi-goal playoff game, tying him for third most by a player aged 21 or younger in NHL history. Only 2 have more: Sidney Crosby and Pierre Turgeon, with 4 each. It wasn't just him getting the party going into 2-1-4. Dallas needed this one, especially after winning 2 tight-scoring games. The big names showed up, and in big ways. Duchene finally got on the scoreboard after a cross-ice pass gave Johnston the opportunity to fire it up high. Rantanen had a lot of scoring opportunities, especially on the Stars' third power play of the game, in which it felt like there was going to be another shot coming from him. He had 11 attempts and 6 shots on goal. It felt like he was going to score more goals, but the only one he scored was a beauty. Rantanen finished the game with 3 points, assisting on 2 goals along with the one he scored. And he's effectively outscored his previous point production for the first 4 games, where he had just 1 assist. And Mason Marchment finally gets his first goal at the playoffs. That's an excellent tip to essentially ice the game, which leads to Mackenzie Blackwood. He had solid positioning throughout the series, but he's not been spectacular. This game was the first time he's looked shaky, and there were several goals in which he should have had back, such as Johnston's first goal and arguably Harley's goal, where he should get back up against the net even half a second earlier. But it's tough to blame him for other goals, such as the power play goal. And that's not even the main gripe against Colorado. Cale Makar has looked invisible through the series, and all Brock Nelson, Donovan Drouin, and Charlie Coyle have yet to find the back of the net. Granted, Nelson was a solid presence on the ice, setting up Gabe Landeskog's goal in Game 4. But goals are important, and the Avs are making critical mistakes that are biting them. On the opening possession, they were caught napping, and they went on to have multiple turnovers in this game. Took too many penalties, and were too comfortable playing on the perimeter on the man advantage. And once again, the Avalanche are facing elimination at the hands of the Stars.